Well, hi there. Nobody here yet. Let's see if somebody shows up. Nobody here yet. Let's see if somebody. Oh dear. Hi, Eddie. How are you today? Amateur Aquatics. Nice to see you. And Wade Benbow. How do you guys know that a live broadcast is online? Because you're all jumping in right at the same time. I don't know how you do that. I just haven't figured out any of this stuff yet. Hi, Aquaballs. Notifications. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Always on the lookout. Well, thanks, Wade. I'll tell you, I think this is a lifesaver for me. You know, I get down in the dumps sometimes. I guess we all do. But hi, Sandy, when this comes on, when I'm able to get a video on and start chatting with people, it just lifts my spirits. It's really a wonderful experience. I was thinking this morning, I had a friend who back in 2000, 2008 tried to get me to come onto YouTube. And he actually came in the shop and he made a series of, 6 or 8 videos for me. Well, he was doing it, I wasn't. I didn't understand what he was doing or anything about what it was all about. So I never really developed an interest in it or an understanding of it. I finally, just recently in September, my birthday, decided to, I learned enough to know that it was something I wanted to try to get into. So I started. And now what I'm realizing is that I would have beat all of these guys in there, all the guys who have got 50 to 100,000 subscribers. I was I was coming in at that time. Things could have been very different, but then things are very different now, and I'm just really happy to be here. Push the bell button, right? Let's hit the like button. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Well, I've only picked up a few subscribers this weekend, but I have gotten a few. I've gotten 5 since Friday night late, but I've been averaging 10 a day for a good while. It's steady. It just it's not inclining. My participation views are not going up. They're just steady each day, which I guess is because I'm under 1,000 and YouTube is not really promoting my site. I'm, like I said, there's so much I don't understand about it. Let's see, we got Aquaballs on here, and he's telling me how to run it. Cool. Go Aquaballs. I got it. Let's see, is he? Yes, you are our monitor, Aquaballs. So we're going to depend on you to keep it clean and running. Just discovered my local area has a bog garden with all 3 England growing sundews. Wow, that is so cool. Do you have any interest in big area? I don't know what you mean by big area, but if you got sundews, we've got ground lilies and a certain amount of um, critters growing in here in Florida, um, bug eating plants. Oh, a bog area. Got it. Oh, I sure do. I grew up in a bog. And Not exactly, but I grew up on the eastern shore of Maryland, and the eastern shore of Maryland is largely bog. I remember a vivid childhood experience. My grandparents had a bog, a marsh area in back of their house. And when I was about 4 years old, I was determined to go out into this wilderness. So I put on my grandfather's boots and I began trudging through this marsh, this bog area. Well, I very quickly got stuck. The boots went down. I couldn't get them out. I must have been screaming and hollering. And the next thing I knew, two arms were picking me up and hauling me out and grabbed the boots as they came. That was my first experience, really personal experience of a bog. I love bogs. I love all the things that live there. I love mucking around in them. Good morning, Kaylor. Nice to see you. Welcome. So, yeah, that should be great fun. Watching video on doing the garlic rejuvenation. Crush and peel, put tap water. Yeah, you don't have to go crazy with soaking it. There is a product that is commonly available. It's a liquid garlic. Curiously, it's not sold as a food product. I think the reason is it doesn't have much of a shelf life. It would have to be sold refrigerated. Um, it is sold as a tonic. There are a number of uh, um, product lines that carry it, but its shelf life is about 6 months, and then it just sours, and it's really no good. But if you start with the with the garlic clove and just crush it, you can just squeeze it in a garlic press, um, paste it up, and mix it in your food. You can feed it raw right away. It does not really have to be soaked. Um, I said 2 days soaking. It'll begin to break down a little. It won't rot. It'll be fine, particularly if you keep that in the fridge. It's a perfect tonic, and it helps the fish enormously to get rid of internal parasites. So it's something that's been used for discus for years and years and years. Let's see. Thank you, and a nice Christmas to you. I'm looking forward to a Christmas dinner with my daughter and her daughter, my 7 year old grandchild. They're down from Maryland, so I'm excited to spend the time with them. And I got her a beautiful gift. I need to show you this. The girls will appreciate it. I gotta show you. She won't. She won't see this, so there's no chance of spoiling the surprise. But I'm just so excited about giving it to her. My daughter is a remarkable woman. She's 40 years old, has a 7 year old child. She is running a school for autistic children that she founded, which, if you know anything about that kind of work, is enormously gutsy. And she struggles with people who are struggling with some of the worst tragedies in life and just brings hope and joy. Let me show you what I got her. This is the princess who has everything. Can I hold it right? What do you think? Now, my ex thinks she'll love it. That's why I bought it. So it's the ultimate symbol, I guess. Anyway, whoops, upside down. Cinderella, right. I think it's I think you have to be a woman to appreciate it. Guys don't appreciate that kind of stuff. I mean that's it's such a symbolic thing that I never thought about. I would never have picked it out. But I was told to give it to her, so I will, and I'm thrilled about it. 23 watching. That's wonderful. Thank you guys so much. How's everybody's tanks doing? Alien World is here. Hi, Alien World. Nice to see you. Caleb Colonna. Caleb is Caleb is here. I didn't see him come in. Ebert Combs. What I'm wondering is how much to put in my tank at one time. I wouldn't put it in the tank uh, loose. Mix it in your food. I mean, you can. It won't really. It's not that it'll hurt anything. Um, but if you use it in the food, it'll get delivered to where it really needs to go, which is in the fish's gut. You can use it as a tonic for the tank. Just uh, be cautious not to put too much in. It's a biological material, and if you overdose with it, it'll rot and you can create a bacterial bloom. You don't want to do that. Thoughts about undergravel filters? Uh, there was a time before there were such things that I never thought about them. And then when they came out around the late 60s, early 70s, I was fascinated by them because they seemed to make so much sense. Um, and then after about 10 or 15 years, I fell out of love with them. And I'm to the point now where I see them as essentially counterintuitive. They it's one of those things that seems like a great idea, but it works precisely against the whole purpose of a deep sand bed because it's forcing water through at such a clip that everything becomes oxygenated, and the foundational principle of a deep substrate is that there be an anaerobic layer, that there be a couple of inches down a region where there's no oxygen. And the purpose of that, of course, is to create the kind of bacteria that breaks down waste. It's the same principle as a septic system. In fact, it is a septic system. That's exactly what you're creating. So a an undergravel filter will mitigate against that. Now, what I tell people who have got undergravel filters is don't take them out, leave them in there, put an inch or two of sand on top of whatever you've got, which is probably gravel. Take the tube out of the undergravel, and you'll have a plenum. And there's a lot of discussion and justification about the value of plenums, but that gives you a plenum. It's certainly not harmful in any way. Whether it's critically helpful or not is beyond me. I've used a few, I've not used them. I don't see a difference, frankly, but they certainly are not in any way harmful. Undergravel filters. Ebert, we did that was the garlic. Happy holidays from Keller. Uh, GT Aquatics, hi there. Welcome. Pond and more. Welcome, Pond and more. Who's coming through the door? Jerry. I have people in and out of my shop all the time. This is Jerry. Say hi, Jerry.
Oh, hey, how y'all doing? Christmas, come buy some fish at Father's Fish's wonderful store. Best fish place around.
Thank you, Jerry.
Fishy business.
Jerry's part of the local color here in Venice. Let's
Hey,
see.
I don't know where Bruno's at. Tell him 2:30 in front of Publix down here.
Okay,
I'll meet him.
I will.
I'm heading back
All
to
right.
camp. I don't know where he's at.
Can I
All right,
put
thank
my
you.
Oscars with fake plants? Can you put, who's asking this? Everything fish. Can I put my Oscars with fake plants? Well, now, if you think they won't know the difference, you can. Obviously, the reason you're asking is because fish like Oscars have a tendency to rip up plants, which they do. I tend to plant deeper, like swords, and I also tend to have a lot more floating plants in with fish like Oscars, so I don't much have the problem. The only issue with plastic plants or silk plants is that in time they will begin to deteriorate. And the plastic plants, of course, are they have a an oil base, um, so they can become somewhat toxic. Silk will deteriorate in time. You're doing it for appearance, and sure, it's not going to. It's not going to give your Oscars um, mental problems. I don't think. Go at every fish, everything fish. Put plastic in with your fish. See if I care. I think it'll be. If it makes it pretty and makes you happy, then you need to do it. First tank is planted and growing. Already have a few pond snails showing up. Another week or two, and I'll add some white clouds. Sounds great. You can add them right away, Caleb. You don't need to wait. Is it a T5 light when you're adding Dirt and Plants video series you did recently? No, it's actually an LED. Um, I like T5 though, and I use a lot of T5 in my shop and always have good results with it. I've been getting the 8 tube T5 for my bigger tanks simply because I need more light on them. They're pretty reasonable. I get them on from Amazon, the 4 foot 8 tube T5s. And they come with tubes, which is nice. You can switch out with a few other spectrum bulbs, like the red and the blue. Um, but I like T5 a lot. But the LEDs, still for my money, are not stable. They last a year or two, and then they kind of crap out. And that's been my consistent experience with them. I do have one tank that has a LED on it that's been on it for about 3 years. That's the Lowboy Forever 40-gallon tank. That light never gets turned out. It's been on consistently for those 5 years. I mean, it maybe has been out once or twice incidentally, but it's on and running all the time. That seems to make a difference. If you never turn them off, they seem to be more stable. T5, everything fish. Oh, GT Aquatics says to everything fish. Yes, and I concur. Thanks for your input. Glad I found your channel. Thank you, Ebert. Glad you did too. I'm just so much enjoying everybody around here. High Rise 97. Set up a tank for one Oscar. Just do sand. Do 3 to 4 inches of sand substrate. And then as you find the put a filter in it, sponge filter or an over the top. As you find debris building up, you can add a little more sand to it. If you'll do that, they're not going to stir up the dirt. You don't want to do a dirty tank with fish that are going to keep things stirred up. Thank you. Got a customer leaving. He's a big pair of breeding Severums in a green and a red shoulder, apparently. Danny Can is here. Hi, Danny Can. You guys own a pet shop? Is that what I understand? Pardon my stupidity. Valley Fish. Ever tried growing sweet potato? No, I haven't. I've seen it and it looks wonderful. Um, yeah, I think that's a cool thing to do. Join in. Fish lovers, don't forget to hit the fish button, the like button. How would you set up a tank for one Oscar? We did that. Moving right along. Sweet potato. I've got a few lucky palms spread around in various tanks. Um, I've got them planted. No, they won't grow um, if they're covered in water, but these are sticking out of the water, and they do develop root systems and continue to grow that way. Great nitrate sponge, absolutely. Yeah, that's true. Any kind of plant that's going to put down roots in your water is going to be sucking nitrates out of the water. I had plants growing across a string of 8 15-gallon tanks, and it just covered the top, and the roots filled the tanks. And that water was stable. I had that up and running for years. Was always able to breed fish in it. Was always a really healthy tank. Snakes. What are you talking about? Fish rich. Uh-oh, snakes. Oh, amateur aquatics. Snake just nearly gave you a heart attack. They can do that, I guess. Snuck up on you, did it? I have, I shouldn't tell you this, but I will. I have rats in my shop. That's not the worst thing. I control the rats. But I had somebody come in with a really beautiful, a 2.5 foot corn snake, which, if you've seen the corn snakes, is a really pretty animal. I turned it loose to control the rat population. Now, what the snakes do, the corn snakes, they find nests and they eat the babies out of the nest. So I've got an extermination system going, and I'll probably never see him because he'll stay in the walls and whatnot. But he will help control these little buggers. While I'm on the subject, how many of you watched the video of the arowana eating the mouse? I'm curious because I have a follow-up question. Here we go. Snake, nitrate. Gotta get a shop snake. Got a shop snake. I do. For the lone Oscar tank, recommend floating plants. Yeah, absolutely. As well as Truefoot. Yeah, the floating plants are simply going to not be as destructible. You watch, let's see, Fishers watched, Caleb watched, Amateur Aquatics did. Okay, so here's the deal. The next day, which was yesterday, I caught a rat, about a 12-inch rat. And I fed it to my red-tailed cat, and he ate it. And I've got a video of it. And I'm concerned about whether or not I ought to put it up. I don't want to fly in the face of anybody who's going to throw me off the web. But maybe I'll do it private, give everybody a chance to look at it. That's a good idea. I think I'll put it up private. Oh, well. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, it was a dog. It was a big animal, and this red-tailed cat is 30 inches, so he's a pretty good sized guy. He's got a big belly on him now. One of the children came up to me yesterday and said, "Is your red-tailed cat pregnant?" And I said, "Yes." Really? Where are we? We got 29 people on. Oh, yeah, I wanted to see what this was. Aquaballs. I have rats, a lot of rats, but not running around. They're in a rack system. So you feed them to snakes or do you keep them as pets? Hi, Simple Life. Nice to see you. I'm sure well, it'd be a good idea to see that video. Well, I'll tell you what, I really want to put it up. I don't have a picture of, I've got a picture of them swimming around holding it by its feet. It was not alive. The rat was dead. And then I cut it off because it was going too long. And then he went, and it was half down. So I put the camera back on and caught the rest of it. So I didn't get that first bite. You feed them to your ball pythons. All right. Yeah, I'm thinking about feeding more mice to my arowanas. But I should say the big clown knives that I've got. You've seen those probably. They're like 30 to 32 inches. And they're wild caught. The difficulty with wild caught fish that size is getting them to eat. I've had them now for well over a month and put some jewel fish, like 3-inch jewel fish, and some 3-inch tilapia in yesterday, and every one of them ate. So I'm really excited about that. I've got these guys eating, which means I'll be able to keep them going long term. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to put them back out in the pond somewhere because I really can't do that. It's not that it's illegal, it's that it's immoral. So they would have to be in my tanks and until they died of starvation, but that's not going to happen because they are eating. So real happy about that. Merry Christmas from Brad Fowler. You too, Brad, and all of yours. Somebody held a message for review. Let me see. Graphic content. There's the method. Huh. Well, Chevy Fish is talking about graphic content. The Biersky method. Can we look at that? Let me get that up. I don't know where. Does anybody have a link to that? Those live feedings of everything those piranhas. Have I ever sold online? I sold online before I started the shop. I've been avoiding doing it, but I'm at a point where I cannot avoid it anymore. I have to do it, just for economic reasons. So we're trying to get a website up now, um, where we'll be able to sell online. The first product we'll have will be the soil additive, and we should be there by the first of the year. So within a week or two, I think we'll be ready to go. Caleb is saying, hopefully, I get my GoPro today. I have got a GoPro, a camera, a phone, and I've been trying to get these suckers on my system all morning, and I can't do it. I wanted to be able to have a second device. a portable device to be able to be able to select. And I know it can be done. I'm just too stupid to do it. So I don't know if that's anything anybody can coach me on. I don't want to get into it right now, particularly because I am not in a position to be able to do anything. But if somebody wants to help me out later on, I would love to figure out how to get. I don't even know if this has Bluetooth. Obviously, the GoPro does, and obviously my phone does. Now, I got the phone on; it's recognized, and it's on the computer. I don't know how to get the camera on this, however. So anyway, where are we? Underwater footage. Yay ho! So shop ever sold online. Again, we're going to be doing that um, within a week or two. We'll be online. We will be selling online. Probably the first product line that I'm going to put up will be plants. I have a really good deal on plants and a huge variety. And of course, I'm shipping from the East Coast, so that'll make it a little easier for people who are on the East Coast, perhaps. But we'll be doing stuff. I'm a business, so I really am not interested in asking for donations and would feel uncomfortable taking them. But if I can sell product online through this vehicle, then I would assume that would be appropriate and something that would give me the kind of support system that I need. I need another income stream, and I think this will provide it. Oh, hi VB23. There are a lot of awesome people here, aren't they? Just amazing. Graphic content. Chevy, talk a little more about that because I don't want to put this video up if it's going to create a problem. Um, and Osmocote to my dirted tank quite regularly. I think it works really well. I'll tell you a little trick you can use. Uh, if your substrate is deep enough, 3 to 4 inches deep, mix up your additives, Osmocote, whatever else you want. Diatomaceous earth is good because it provides calcium and also iron, although um, the Osmocote does contain some iron. Mix it up in a slurry and use a turkey baster to get a tube full of it. Inject that all the way down to the bottom of your substrate and release it. Do it slowly and gently, and you'll be able to get a lot of nutrients way down in that anaerobic layer where they can do the most good and where they're not going to get in to the water column. So, yeah, absolutely, you can do that. If you've got an active tank, it's it's not all that necessary. It does give you growth spurt, no question. Um, One of the things I've noticed with older tanks is that there's not the fast growth for certain kinds of plants. But then I don't find that undesirable. I'm not looking for high growth, particularly for climax kinds of plants like big mother Amazon swords. Um, I don't find it a problem with Val. Any kind of Vallisneria grow like a weed in a deep planted tank for years and years and years. But you certainly can add organics to it. Yeah, Miracle Grow organic, absolutely. And again, if you do it carefully and your sand bed is at least 2 inches, then you're not going to burn the plants with too much nutrient because you're going to have that down below where their roots are. They can kind of tip into it, kind of put their toe in the water in that richer strata. and be able to be comfortable in the sand bed. A lot of that nutrient works its way up in the sand bed, so you want to make sure you've got enough so it's not coming up and out. There's another held for review, hidden by aquaballs. You deleted message. Oh, okay. Was Chevy Fish posted a mouse feeding, piranha mouse feeding. I'm not interested in showing anything killing anything. I think that probably would be the issue. Um, but maybe let's all hit that, says Don. Go, Don. Reminds me, a digital camera is waterproof, could be going underwater. Yay ho. Griffin Fish Room, hello. Nice to see you. Nice to have you here. Valley Fish. You say you're going to make a dirted tank mix on my site. Yes, I'm going to sell it. And what I'm going to sell, I think, is the additive to the soil. I've got about 7 or 8 different items that I mix in with soil. So my idea initially is to simply provide that additive in a like a 1 gallon Ziploc that can be added to topsoil, uh, sphagnum moss or peat. Chopped peat's good, and maybe a potting soil. Mix it in with that and be able to use that as substrate. We'll see how it goes. I don't want to try to market 5 gallons of product online and ship it out. The size of the box would be too expensive, and if I put water in, it would be too heavy. But I think just the additives will make it affordable as an additive to soil that you can easily acquire. So that's the idea. We'll see how it goes. Aquaballs has a YouTube, which is what? Looks to me like, oh, it's mine. Thank you.
Well, good morning, Father.
Right. Right up on top of my, right up on
Right.
top of my
Right up
page.
on top of my. Right up on it.
Hans 21 Fish Tanks, good afternoon. Nice to have you with us. I'm going to go back a little. I'm missing some. Let's see, besides triggering with a cold water change, any tips to get dojo loaches to breed? Full grown pair have been trying to get this spawn. You know, if they're not spawning, they may just not like each other. I mean, let's get serious about this. You know how dojos are. They're like some, never mind. Cold water trigger. You could try a pH trigger. Just drop the pH, but don't do it quickly. Do it with rainwater. If you can save some rainwater, do the cold water change with rainwater. See if a slight drop in pH and the cold is going to trigger it. 100% water change sometimes is put them in a brand new tank. I've had that work. Can't do hormones anymore. We're past that in this country, unfortunately. Aquaball says, hello, Griffin, Fisher Room. Let us know how it goes, GT. That's be nice to be able to get them spawning. Amateur, as long as it's not a live animal, it should be okay. Well, yeah, the disease thing. I have a good answer for that, though. That's every animal that eats other animals is not eating them out of Publix. They're they're eating them in the wild, and they've got enzymes to take care of that little problem. I've never had a problem with it, and the reality is that much of the fish food that we feed our fish, particularly the live food, has pathogens in it. Anybody who collects Daphne has, or mosquito larvae, or bloodworms, or blackworms. All of those are wild caught natural foods. So the fish are not going to get disease from something that they swallow. I'm not ever worried about a fish eating a fish that's died from ick because they swallow it and digest the ick parasite. Griffin Fish. Hello, Aquabellas. That was Griffin Fish Room. Nice to have you here. Chevy says Bierski believes in the natural method, feeding all his animals. It's got over 31,000 views. Look up Bearski, Bearski method. Put some warnings up because his piranhas tear the food apart. I will check it out. It looks really interesting. Um, I've done it. I've done probably a lot of it, particularly when I lived in areas where I had access to any kind of food supply. You know, if you live around a creek or a bay or a healthy stream or pond, you've got access to all kind of food for your fish, and it's kind of unfortunate not to use it. Storm Riders Aquatics is here. Hi, how are you? We have 40 watching. We're picking up speed here. We're gonna, did you watch the rocket go off? Was it Friday, wasn't it? Saturday. Saturday. Yesterday. That was wonderful. Achieved supersonic speed. That's what we're doing. We're going supersonic here. Oh, Storm Riders. Think I'm getting where I lost track of something. You breed any Tanganyika Shelleys? Yes, I do. I've got a couple of them. Well, I have them. They're not being real prolific right now, but I've got a couple of setups of at least two different species, and I'm hopeful. I tend to, because I have the kind of operation I do, I've tended to not allow tanks to be as monocultural as possible. And with things like shell dwellers, you kind of really have to do that because the babies will just get predated out of existence. So I'm working on it. Yeah, Don's question: are you sure they're a pair and that they're compatible? Just moved them to a new 75. It's simple, like 53-inch sand only substrate on top of 1-inch slow moving plenum and grow crip wisteria and hairgrass slowly but well. Any advice? Yeah, it was simple. If you could do the turkey baster, try to get some additives down. Make sure it's deep. You don't want it bubbling up into the water column, and be ginger about it. Just a very tiny amount. Just move them to now. The reality is, of course, that after about a year, the detritus from the normal life process has worked its way down through that strata into the anaerobic layer and been broken down and is being taken up as nutrition. So you get a cycled system going. Sometimes it can be a little slower than you'd like it to be. The solution is to try to pump it up a little. There is a caveat to that. You can. I tend to create extremely rich, strong um, substrata that if I put roots directly down in it, it will burn them in a day. It would kill the plants. I do it in order to be able to create a lot of biomass that's going to be breaking out into the tank in plant growth over over a period of a year or so. That gives me a lot of biological flow going back into the system. So I'm kind of starting heavy and strong. The trick for that is to make sure that sand bed is deep enough that nothing is going to leach out into the water. You don't want that to happen. Um, Having floating plants will take up nutrition in the water column, so you can cover some of that, but try to avoid it. You want your water to be as pure as possible, and you want that substrate to be as intense as possible, and keep them separate from each other. You don't want them getting together. See them in the fish room. Torvid, GT Aquatics. Oh, okay. He says they are a pair. Cool. Enjoying the streams, Dan Watch. Wisdom is refreshing. Talk about fish TV. Recently lost some fish, had some spine curvature. The vets that I've dealt with over the years have been of two minds with this issue. Uh, some claim it's TB, which is viral. Others claim it's genetics, and I think there, frankly, is as strong a case to be made for things like bent spine as a genetic issue. I've noticed, for example, with a glowfish, um, the older a glowfish gets, the more likely it develops bent spine. That's genetic. These are animals that have been inbred and inbred and inbred and inbred in order to be able to get these colors going. So that's why I think it's always a good idea, if you can, to try to mix your colonies with animals from another region, or if you can get wild caught, to introduce wild caught into your colonies in order to be able to broaden the genetic diversity. To dose the water column in the newer dirted tank until the stem plants get nicely rooted. No, um, if you've got adequate um, nutrients in that dirted environment, you're playing with fire by continuing to add supplements for at least the first year. And after that, I find it unnecessary. So I'm not a big supplement kind of guy. People who have just sand beds but want to be able to enrich that, that's the turkey baster system, and that can work well for them, provided that base is 3 to 4 inches deep. But no, you don't need to keep adding anything. You've already got it. You've put it in there when you set it up. Give it a chance to go. If you're not getting adequate plant growth, leave the light on longer. I leave my lights on 24/7, usually for a couple of months when I first set up a tank, in order to really push the growth. Keep in mind that any light you put on a tank is not going to be nearly the kind of light that that plant would be receiving if it were in a pond with the sun above it. So leaving the light on longer is simply increasing the opportunity for that plant to be able to do photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is not nutrition. Photosynthesis is what the plant does with nutrition. Don't confuse the two. Light doesn't feed plants. Light gives plants the tools to be able to convert its nutrition to sugars uh, and uh, to to oxygen, to food. In other words, for animals. That's the cycle. Should have still dosed the water. We did that. Hello, GT Storm Riders. Dan Watch says we did that. Well, that was the TV thing. Appreciate that, Dan. It's the best food for paradise fish. Giving him frozen brine, that's good. Daphne as well. Is there anything else I can give him? You can give him worm. Uh, Go to Walmart and buy some fishing worms. I'll tell you what I like to feed my fish, and I feed it to all of them. Did a video on it. I feed ground chicken. Ground chicken. This is based on some research that a couple of guys did in the Amazon a few years back, where they were studying the effect of birds falling into the water and dying, and the effect of that on the food chain. They discovered that those birds were eaten by fish, and that they ate them up down to the bone, including the bone, and that it comprised a really substantial portion of the diet of many of the fish they were studying. So I determined to start feeding chicken. Now, um, beef heart has been fed to discus and other fish for years and years. There are downsides to beef heart. For one thing, it's a warm blooded animal. For another, it's a blooded animal. Um, and for another, it can foul the water if you put too much in. I've fed it. I fed it for years, and I liked it, but I had to be extremely careful with it because it'll pollute the water very quickly. I've been feeding chicken now for about a year, and finding that the fish love it. They scarf it right up. It keeps them plumped up and happy. I don't go crazy with it, but I don't go crazy with food anyway. I feed sparingly. I feed based on what a fish would normally eat in the wild, which is one decent meal a week. So I may give a little bit each day and one good meal once a week, but more often I feed once a week. Paradise fish. Try the chicken. Can't lose. Um, they're an antibiotic. They're not likely to take any kind of vegetable matter. They're going to be pretty much a an insectivore. So the Daphne and shrimp are perfect for them. You could try broadening it to some meats. I don't think they'll take vegetable matter. Discus, I mean, bettas will not. They will not take it. They'll eat it, but they can't digest it. They don't have the enzymes to be able to digest vegetable matter. Is a 1 to 2 inch sand substrate a bad thing in a planted tank? I would say it's an inadequate thing. If you're going to do 1 to 2 inches, do 1 to 2 inches more and get it to 3 to 4 inches. Then you'll be doing your plants a real favor because you'll be providing nutrition for them, or at least a nutritional foundation. You'll be providing them a way for them to be able to have nutrition delivered to them. So just add some sand to it. You don't have to take it out, you don't have to do a thing to it. The other thing that's really nice is that once you do that, you never have to clean your tank again. Never, 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 and don't ever, because if you do, everything will die. You know, you don't want to. You've heard stories of people going down into old septic systems and dying. Well, same with fish. You can't do it. It's toxic down there. And if you release that into your tank, you're making it toxic up there, and you really don't want to do that. So, there's some risks here. If you got a 2-year-old that likes to stir things up, you might seriously consider how you're doing this. Oh, Let's see. Lumpy Dog is here. I didn't see him come in there. Should I still do? Oh, we did his dosing the water column. That was Lumpy Dog. Sorry, I missed your name there. Good to see you, Lumpy Dog. John Gallagher, Fish Dreams. And tell us how you culture Daphne. Mostly, I don't. I seem to be constitutionally incapable of culturing it indoors, and I don't have much in the way of outdoor facilities. How are you?
Good, good.
Good. Nice to see you. We got a customer just walked in. He's going to go look at the fish. The best way to culture it is to keep it in a barrel outdoors. Um, you don't need aeration. What you do need is a screen cover because mosquitoes will get into it and the mosquito larvae will eat the daphne. So cover it with a screen. And then if you want to feed it, which you can do, I like spirulina powder. If you get some daylight, some sunlight, that'll be even better because the sunlight is gonna um, create algae, which is what the Daphne like to feed on. Excuse me, green water. So anytime you can get green water going, even having a couple of jugs with some leaves or something that's deteriorating with the sun on them, when that water gets green, pour it in with your Daphne. That'll keep them going real well. Yeah, you have to keep up with it a little. I've got some Daphne pools out. They're little flower bed pools out by my steps coming into the store. And they're Daphne in there year round, but they're not in any great quantity. And I don't really try to do that because it's just too awkward. Always vacuum the sand and use root tabs. Yeah, you don't need to do that, James. Um, just get the sand to 3 inches and leave it alone. You can put uh, a little root tab down in there, but you really don't need much. And after a while, it's going to cycle itself. You'll find it gives you tremendous relief. Doesn't chicken have growth hormones and antibiotics? Oh dear. Well, yeah, I guess. So do I. You know. Um, I don't know quite what to say about that. There's certain things about this culture we live in that are difficult to avoid. And my hunch is that's one of them. It's kind of a interesting situation because we're living longer. We do have some diseases that are probably a direct result of some of the additives that are put in food. But we've got a medical system that's keeping us alive longer. I mean, I'm here. I'm here as a prime example. I've had 5-way heart bypass. I've had stents put in. I have a pacemaker. I take medication to keep my blood thin. I've had gallbladder removed. I've had a new hip and a new knee. Can't even remember what else. I'm diabetic. I have a bad heart. It just kind of goes on and on. And I'm 79 years old and hale and hearty and going strong. I like to say I'm in great shape for the shape I'm in. I live with a man who's 92, who eats everything, never been sick in a day in his life, doesn't wear glasses, and his hearing is so good he can have the TV turned down and I can't hear it, and he's perfectly happy. So, genetics. Enough of that. Always back in the same, right? Oh, let's see. are the paradise fish. Kaler's paradise. They're a stunningly beautiful fish. You get them big, they'll get 5 inches with huge streamers. Stunningly beautiful fish. I have a Tingo with 2 to 3 inches of eco complete and a quarter-inch of soil and Osmocote because I know I'm moving within a year. Be easy to break down. Yeah, that's fine. What I would do is add about an inch of sand to it. That'll that'll keep that eco complete down because eco complete wants to be um, anaerobic. It wants to break down, and if you put sand on it, it'll allow that to happen. So you want to cap it. Not going to make it any less easy to move. When you do move it, just drain the water. Don't touch it. Move it to tingle and tank. How heavy can it be? Then put the water back in it, and you're good to go. One more thing while I'm on this subject, I have customers who are snowbirds. They come down here for the winter, go back to New England in the summer, but they're addicted to fish. So they have fish tanks. When they're ready to go back, I advise them to shut everything off, turn off the pump, turn off the lights, take all the fish out, bring them to me, and eat special plants that they like, they can take out and bring them to me. Cover the whole thing with cellophane or uh, a wrap, and then when they come back in the spring, in the winter, I gotta answer this. I'm sorry. Father fish, put it on speaker.
Still have the giant gourami.
I have a few, yes. I've got some albinos. I have 3 of them, and I think I've got one green one.
How big are they already?
Not big. They're 2 to 3 inches, 3 to 4 inches, I guess.
Okay. How much are they?
$20.
Okay.
All right, you bet. Giant gouramis, what a fun fish. Okay, so that was Caleb's 10 gallon. We did big long. Anyway, this works real well. In fact, one of the customers came back this year, and there were fish that he had missed that were still alive in the tank 6 months later. Humans are running the end of our genetics. Chromosome ends breaking down at the time. To environmental earth and creation, or keep humans thinking on in the past. And past, well, perhaps so. A lot of disease too, and a lot of disease has been controlled. Plus, I would be dead. I would have been dead 10 years ago if it weren't for the heart surgery and the other medical interventions that have kept me alive. So, you know, it's I don't think it's a lose-lose proposition. I think we're headed the right direction. Do we have problems and issues? Sure, but feeding chicken to my fish is not what I put on the list. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be offensive about that. We're all gonna get old. Yeah, well, 60 years old hit me hard. Yeah, I can hear that. I don't know what. None of it's hit me hard. I think maybe now, but what I'm doing now is I'm realizing I could be gone in an instant. It might very well be, and I'm real comfortable with that. I mean, I have a spiritual life that is that is a source of great comfort to me and has been throughout my entire life. So the boys on the other side are ready to take me home when I'm ready to go, and I'll see you there. My mind thinks 35, my body thinks 120. Yeah, like that, right? Lumpy dogs. I didn't mean to put anything you said down. I hope you're not offended. Aqua balls. I can feel it. Only gonna be 40 next January 13th. You're a young man, Aqua balls. Years ahead of you. Do it all. Hide that phone number. Oh, I didn't, did I? I'm sorry. Tell them. I should. Where are we? Hello, Susan. Nice to see you here. Susan's giving her hellos. Share a birthday with my father, Aquaballs. He'll be 80 next month. Got about a year on me. Susan is old glory. Glory indeed. Only shallow people get offended with words. Amen, brother. Amen. I appreciate that. Well, Susan, how are you? How's your day been? You've been to church this morning. What time is it? 2:45. We've been on. Have we been on for an hour? Maybe an hour. I don't know what time I got on. Is there a timestamp? I didn't do timestamp. I should do timestamp. But we've picked up a couple more subscribers since we've been on. I see. That's nice. I'm at 686. Just moving right along. I hope to hit 1,000 by the end of January. That's allowing things to slow down a little. Just checking my messages.
Top of my, right up on top of my.
Let's see. Love so much you're on YouTube, though. There's so much wisdom lost from this hobby in favor of industry and commercial products. Caleb, you're singing my song. I've seen the same thing in gardening, so I'm trying to learn what I can. You know, I'll tell you, it's true. And what makes it even more difficult is people who have developed an industry out of this hobby resent the intrusion of people saying, oh, there's an easier way and a simpler way and a less expensive way to do that. I think if you're going to be true to the hobby, you got to be willing to admit that, to accept that, to eat it, and to move on. There's plenty money around. It's not going to stop the cash flow. It'll just put more money into more fish. That's my belief. Wife wants to know where's my store. In Venice, Florida, which is about half an hour south of Sarasota, about an hour south of Tampa, on the east of the west coast to the east coast. I'm on the Gulf, midway down Florida, in a little resort, kind of a residential resort town. So I do not have a big service population here. It's one of the problems with being located where I am. I'm not doing nearly the business that I would be doing if I were in a major metropolitan area. So that's one of the main reasons I'm doing this. It's the reason I got into it. I'm doing it because it's great fun and I'm really enjoying it. But I need to be able to make money at it. And the way I'm going to do that is by selling online. So by next week, we'll have a website and we'll be marketing some product. 60 minutes ago, so it's been an hour. Are there any hard and fast rules about the length of these broadcasts? The protocol seems to be an hour or so. Some run a little longer. But does YouTube have any rules, or is FishTube pretty strongly focused on limiting the time that they go? If somebody could answer that for me, please. Finished 14 tank water changes yesterday, and yes, church today. Took my son to dialysis. God bless you, Susan. You are a true servant. Put your feet up, so you bet. Everybody's saying hello, hello. Waiting on Rod to finish vacuuming. We'll be going home. So she's at church, I guess. Everything has a trade-off. I think that's probably true. It's certainly true in this hobby. It's true in life. Everything does have a trade-off. Why is my YouTube saying no recent activists want to put hundreds of videos on YouTube every year? Because I think it's because you don't have that recent activity button selected. I mean, I just looked at it yesterday and noticed that, so I'm being smart. I'm probably also wrong. Had great luck for 50 years breeding angels and scared to death to try your wish list discus. Oh, come on, James. You can do this. Here we go. Here we go. We're going to be doing some really, really fine quality discus starting in about a month. Want you to get your tank ready. A 29 gallon is fine. A 40 is better. Make it tall, not shallow. A 55 is fine. Do the dirted substrate. Follow the lines on that. Watch the video, get it set up. Once you do, then get back to me and I'll get you the discus. You want a heater, you want to keep it set at 85. You want to use your water, whatever your water is. They will adapt to your water. We can talk details when we get down to it. You need to do this and you're going to be successful. I guarantee it. Where'd we go? That was James. You know, with your years of experience, you will not have a problem. You're going to wind up with so many discus, you're going to wonder what to do with them. I'll buy them back. Recent, this may be the last week. Not as far as I know. I believe Corey does hours-long streams fairly regularly. Yeah, I think daily almost. Anywhere from a half hour to 2 hours. I was thinking 2 hours. I wasn't thinking that today. Used to be 8 hours. Wow. You know, it strikes me that the solution to communications between YouTubers is to have an always on stream where people can come in and chat with each other. I mean, it seems to me it would be a perfectly natural thing. I don't know how you get, well, yeah, I guess you'd get sponsors on it. I'm sure somebody has tried it. That's the main thing I find difficult.
Longer on your podcast, on your YouTube channel?
No, I can work with you.
Okay.
What do you have? Do you mind?
No, not at all.
What's your name?
I'm Gary.
Hi, Gary.
I was here a couple weeks ago and I got some of your soil. I set up my 20-gallon lawn
Oh,
with the dirt that you provided and of course the sand.
okay.
And I had some snippets of Bacopa and some extra chain sword that I just that I had in a small tank. I put
Okay.
those in.
Cool.
But I'm here today to get some other plants to plant that tank out.
Lovely.
Show you
Okay.
some pictures of it, of what my base is.
Let's
anyway.
do that. Okay. I'm going to leave this, let them talk to each other for a while.
All right.
And what we'll do is show them the plants
Okay.
when we come back, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Thank you so much. Okay, you heard all that. You know what we're doing. Enjoy yourselves. I will not be more than 5 minutes.
You think I'm that decisive?
Oh, well, I am.
All those. So, a couple things I had in mind. And ready for it?
and 2680.
How much?
90 plus 90, 95.
$95.
But we got 10 plans. I mean, the reds are 10. The crips are 5 inches. It was 10, 20, 30. And then these guys are all 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 40. Yep, 70. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 75. Sorry. Glad you caught me. I was thinking too fast. Well, what are we thinking? I don't know. Okay. Call me if you have any questions or problems. Just leave the light on.
Got it.
Or, yeah, leave it on for, I would leave it on for a month with all this new stuff.
Okay.
And it'll, we were just talking about that.
Because I just saw some, we're getting some cannons. They're leaching out a little bit. I took about.
Look carefully and see if you can tell where that's happened. Add a little more sand to that spot.
I see. I see. Like there's a little well up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You just kind of cap that. That's
Yeah, 'cause I
usually
have
what
plenty of sand
causes
left.
it. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thank you, sir.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. See you on YouTube.
Alrighty. All right. Or do I need to go back here? Waiting around to finish show from that part. Anywhere from half hour to 2 hours. Oh, what happened? Lumpy. You remind me of me. Inherently survivors and problem solvers, true enough. I think we do that. I noticed the other day, and I talked to my doctor about it. In fact, it was when I was online talking with Susan. I had a stroke, a mini stroke. And I went back and I looked at it. I thought there was something funny happened. Went back and looked at it, and sure enough, there it was, where I stopped talking. I think I apologized. And what was happening in my mind was I was searching for a word. My mind went blank for just an instant. Everything kind of disappeared. Searching for a word, gave up the search and immediately went to finding an alternative way to say what I was thinking. And there wasn't much of a gap. And I think it probably wasn't real apparent. But my doctor said that was probably a micro, what he called a micro stroke, whatever that is. Interesting. Yeah, I think we do that. I think we compensate. I think and the older I get, the more I see myself doing it. Oh, using 125. Cool. That'll be wonderful. James is going to use the 125 for his discus. Make sure you look at that substrate, setting up the 55 to see how I did that. You can certainly adapt to your liking, but it'd be helpful for you to have that input at least to be able to determine how you want to set it up. I'll give them a try for sure. Good. I want to help you do that. That'll be great fun. Fun time starts now, says Aquaballs. What are you talking about? We are having fun. We're at 36. I think we lost a couple of them. Yeah, there's one more dropped off. Time to overthrow the mods. Rise up and revolt, says the Lumpy Dog. I need to make him a mod. You know, that'll fix him. Where is it? Add moderator. There, Lumpy Dog. Now you're screwed. Now you got to rebel against yourself. Ah, that red thing on top of the cabinet. Red thing on top of the cabinet. Oh, I'm assuming that you already know is why you're asking. Now you know. Ah, I have some friends who tell me that I should know. I have a sticker, a Trump sticker, on my counter, and they're just aghast about it. I had them sit here one afternoon. Person after person who came in gave me a high five. Nobody has ever said a negative word to me about it. And if they just choose not to do business with me, then that's their choice. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I have not had a problem with it. Let's see. What's that red thing? Where was that? Can't tell. Aquaballs. A strainer, maybe, says GT. Can you put angelfish in fresh water? You mean in new water? Yeah, absolutely. A plumbing tool to open clogged hose. Yeah, that's true too. Uh, uh, holes. How can you not chat among yourselves? If there are freshwater angels, then yes. If there are saltwater angels, then no. There are two types of fish. Well, there is that, Chevy. Sorry, I didn't pick up on that. I took it a different way. I don't know, what did he intend? What was the intention? Val Denzil, what's the intention of your question? A little more clarity there from you as to, can you put angelfish in freshwater? Did you mean new water, or did you mean saltwater angels in freshwater? Because Chevy thinks you meant the latter. Thinking to myself, those aquaballs. Right. They're back.
Whoa. How are you
Hi
doing?
there, good. How are you?
Fine.
Welcome.
Oh, you put this huge tank here.
A nice tank, isn't it?
Oh, no.
I have a 500-gallon tank sitting in the
500
middle of
gallon?
sitting in the middle of my acrylic that I'm thinking I might set up as a Dutch tank. I've never done a Dutch, and I would kind of like to do it. James had the same impression to Val about the angels. And she said, okay, thank you. Don't know who she's saying that to. We need to get more information, Val. Gary is back. Oh, that's Susan. Must be I'm home now. I keep bouncing around here. I don't know why it's bouncing around. Welcome back, Father Fish. There, phew. I think I got lost. How many tanks you guys have? Everyone here, 13, 3, 17, 22. Welcome back, says Aquaballs. Father, you seen Corey's video towards the ocean aquarium? You betcha. Just really impressive. I would love to get out there and visit with those guys. That they're just my kind of people. Called a trans-ischemic attack, mini stroke. Ha! How about that? Ischemic, trans-ischemic. Probably 6 or 7 in storage. Hello, Susan. What size tank do I prefer for a fried tank? 20 long, 10 is fine. 20 long gives you a little more growth potential. Sorry, I got a phone call. My son. Now Olympic has the behavior, right? Notice, oh, there he is. Oh, snap. He said, now I'm going to stop. Right. Gotcha. Yeah, he's in trouble now. Hello, Storm Riders. Good afternoon. Susan can't read it. Both, oh, she can't read it. Is that what you can't read? Can you read that? That's dirty. Fresh carambola. It is star fruit. Yes. Aren't they gorgeous? Look at that. And they're big and pretty. Somebody brought me a bag of about 25 of them. I've been passing them out all day. Good afternoon. We did Storm Riders. Hi again. That was Shay H asking about the star fruit. What was that red thing? We did that. Oh, Val wants to get some angels. Okay. No Jamber if Amber's not here. Do it, Father Fish. Have 120 planted with CO2. Love it. You know, I really want to. And I was hoping to sell it because I'd like to have the money, but it's a tank I would have to get into to plant. I'm not sure how I would really pull this off. Probably have to hire some child, little child at that, to come in to plant it. It'd be a bear to plant, but it would be fun to do. Where are we? That was Aquaballs talking about a 120 plant with CO2. Have I talked to you about CO2? We have a group in our club who do CO2 soda water bottles. They buy soda water and infuse it into their tanks on a every other day basis, and they're getting results common to injected CO2 without the cost or complexity. James Rutherford just clocked in. Hi there. Nice to have you. Don't forget to hit the like button. Yes, thank you. One of my favorite fruit. They are wonderful. If they're right. If they're right, they're sweet. If they're not, they're sour. Like this one is sour. I kind of like the sour. Father Fish on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page, and we're trying to get more stuff listed on it. So we'll be doing 44. Gee, I'm showing 31 right now, but I think I'm behind. Proposed to my wife in Huntington Beach, California. I think I've hit bottom here. Chevy Fish has a lot of empty tanks. We need to fill them. Empty tank doesn't do anybody any good. Let's see what's in my massages. Oddball Aquatics is live. Oddball Aquatics is live. We ought to get over and let him take the reins. TJ just uploaded Tarantula scientific name changes. Interesting young man, TJ's Aquatics. Look him up and scroll him if you can. He's a sweet man. Liberty Hangout. There's nothing else there. Okay, so I think we're gonna put a lid on it. Oh, go Aquaballs. That's nice. Empty tank mine, right? Empty tank, empty mine. Outbound Aquatics go storming there and show some love. You bet. Yeah, he will love it. He's a sweet, sweet guy. TJ, let me get it right now. TJ apostrophe S Exotics. He does 15, 20-second videos, real short videos that he reads. But there's something about him that's just really enchanting and endearing, I think, mostly. Yeah, look him up and storm him. He's a nice guy. Lumpy later. I appreciate it. Thank you. Susan, God bless you. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Enjoyed being with you all this afternoon. It always thrills my heart. And it's such a joy. Appreciate you. See you sometime this coming week. Have a lovely Christmas. Be with family. Hug everybody for me. Say Merry Christmas. See you later in the week. God bless. And good night. Make sure you hit the like button. I gotta hit it. I didn't hit it here. 45 we're up to. Pretty good. 46. I don't think anybody missed it. Thank you, Chevy. Amateur Aquatics GT. Bye, guys. Love you.